Hello and welcome to Time About the Movies Flashback. We're flashing back to Friday the 13th of May, 1988. And, yeah, I kind of lied to you guys. I tried to find stuff for Bulletproof and also the last one that we had on here, The Kitchen Toto, and I couldn't find a trailer for it, and it doesn't really matter anyway since I saw neither one of those movies. But I wanted to cover them, but unfortunately there was no trailer to look at, so they're not going to be covered on here. But it is Friday the 13th, and that means, of course, how about a new Friday the 13th movie? We're looking at the 7th installment of the Friday the 13th series today, and that is Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood.
Friday, May 13th. It's Jason versus Tina. Don't go in there! The match made in hell.
There goes the neighborhood.
Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, rated R. Starts Friday, May 13th at a theater near you.
So this is a movie that has a very interesting production history behind it, as the original intentions of this was, of all things, to be the original Freddy vs. Jason. Paramount Pictures sought to team up with New Line Cinema to essentially create a crossover film between Friday the 13th and The Nightmare on Elm Street, and unfortunately that never came to be, at least until New Line bought the rights to the franchise a couple years later, and thus we got the actual Freddy vs. Jason in 2003, which we'll eventually get to over on Time About the Movies. But in this particular case, a lot of people really wanted to come on board on this after what happened with the last movie. It was supposed to be a higher standard of quality compared to the other films, with a lot of high-profile directors being considered for the project. And instead, they went with an special effects maestro named John Carl Buechler, who went on to direct this film. And the story of this is that you have, set years after the events of the last movie, Jason Lives, the plot follows a psychokinetic teenage girl played by Laura Park Lincoln, who unwillingly releases Jason from his tomb. Be a different movie if Jason was a she in this movie, but she releases Jason from his tomb at the bottom of Crystal Lake and allowing him to go on yet another killing spree in the area, or at least somewhat of a killing spree, because let's be honest, the most death scenes that you'll see in this movie are in the previously on segments at the beginning of the movie, because this movie was cut to crap. This movie was literally cut down to avoid an X rating. Like, no kidding. They took out a lot of different scenes in this movie where there was a lot of blood and gore, and they had to do this because they were trying to avoid an X rating, which is hard to believe that a movie of this caliber had to avoid an X rating at this point. But yeah, this is a really toned down movie compared to the other films. In fact, the whole movie has a good premise to it. Jason versus essentially Carrie, which sounds like an amazing idea, and it does lead to some pretty cool, interesting action sequences between Jason and the girl in here. I mean, there are a lot of good ideas in here that just don't have a good script really to be worked around here, but there are some interesting elements to it. There are some notable names in here, specifically Susan Blue, who's a prolific voice actress, plays Mrs. Shepard in here, and Terry Kaiser from Weekend at Bernie's plays Dr. Cruz in here. More importantly, this is actually the first film to introduce Kane Hodder into the picture as Jason, and I think we can all agree that Kane Hodder was probably the most legitimate Jason that you can have out there. I mean, he made Jason his own. I mean, this is a guy that, when he was promoting Friday the 13th Part 8, a movie that's terrible, he went all out, going on the Arsenio Hall show as Jason Voorhees. And, like, that's how committed that guy is to that role. Like, that guy knows what he's doing. That guy knows exactly how to make that character work. And this is the first time we ever saw him do it. And he does a pretty good job making him stand out in this. And he looks more intimidating than the last guy they had playing Jason Voorhees. But like I said, man, there's a lot of problems with the movie. The whole idea of the Jason versus Carrie thing should be interesting. It should be very unique, but it essentially got cut down to the point where it's just another typical Friday the 13th movie, and this was around the time when these movies were running on fumes at this point. Paramount wanted to stop making these movies, and I feel like every single movie they made was an attempt to make it so stupid that audiences would essentially say, okay, we're done with these, but it's just like, nope, they kept making money because they were very low-budgeted films. I mean, this one was barely under $3 million, and this thing bought in $20 million on its own. That's about almost 7 times how much it cost to make. So, yeah, of course they're going to keep making them because they're making money for them. Even though they're not blockbuster hits, they're still making 7 times more than what they're being produced for. But like I said, man, it gets really stupid at times in this movie. And even in this movie's case, the stupidity reaches an all-time ridiculous level. Like, there's a part, like, the big scene in the beginning of the movie is that the girl's father, who's an alcoholic, abuses his mother, and then she ends up killing her when she accidentally destroys the dock that she's on. So he's been dead for a long, long time. And then in the end, when she has to face off against Jason, who saves the day? Not her, because, or I guess kind of her, because get this. She has these telekinetic powers, but she also has the ability to summon the spirit of her dead father, who rises up from the lake, drags Jason back down, and apparently that's what kills him in the end. Like, they never explain how this is even possible. It's just like her father, he's been dead for decades. That body should be decayed. He should be a zombie at this point. But no, looks like he just died yesterday. Like, literally. He looks like he literally died just yesterday. That's how much you know this movie does not give two shits about what the audience's intelligence is. It's just like, if you can't accept this, then get the hell out of here. And just like, but then again, everybody accepted it because it made 7 times how much it cost to make. But, yeah, it gets ridiculous. And, again, the other characters besides Tina, she's probably the best overall character, but even then, she's not the greatest thing about it, but she's a lot better than some of the other characters they introduce here. The characters they introduce are just, the typical, we're gonna die as soon as Jason Voorhees comes back, so don't even get used to us. So, like, it's just, I don't know, it just has so much potential to it. The idea is so something that could have really reinvigorated the series, even though the last movie kind of Jason Lives actually kind of reinvigorated the series in its own way, not only bringing Jason back, but going for a more slightly satirical edge to it. And actually, when we get to that one, that's going to be one of the more praised films in the series when you really look at it. But this is definitely a major step down from that, and it's a shame because the potential was there for something really, really great, but just couldn't do it. Just couldn't make a good movie. Paramount wanted to kill this series so bad that they made a bad movie, and yet still forced them to make another movie 2 years later. The following year. So, yeah, not much more to say about that one. So that's Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. And so with that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies Flashback. We'll flash back to May 6, 1988 on the next episode with 6 movies, including Shakedown, we have Salsa, we have Dead Heat, My Best Friend is a Vampire, Judgment in Berlin, and Prison, which coincidentally features Kane Hodder in that movie. So we'll take a look at those 6 films on the next episode. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, hit the place on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this. And until then, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Take care.